Staff ready? Yes. Now call this meeting to order.
Notice of a public meeting of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act. Notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene a special meeting on May 4th, 2023 at 5 p.m. in the City Commission chambers located on the second floor of the Brownsville City Hall, Old Federal Building located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street. Members of the public who submitted a public comment form will be permitted to offer public comments as provided by the agenda and as permitted by the presiding officer during the meeting. A recording of the meeting will be made and will be available to the public in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. It is 5:03, Mayor Pro Tem. Next item is invocation.
Do we have someone giving invocation today? I don't think we have Pastor Brad with us.
It's
Any-
National Day of Prayer. I think they're all busy right now.
Please, come on up. Please state your name.
My name is Mark Gilbert.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert.
Let's go ahead and pray. Father God, we ask that you bless this time. We ask that you give clarity of mind to everybody here and that the decision-making that's made be in accordance with what you want. We thank you for all that you do for us. We lift up the city of Brownsville to you. We ask for protection and also for guidance. We ask and we pray this in the precious name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
Next item, we have public comments. Mayor Pro Tem, we did receive 6 public comment.
I'll entertain a motion to lift the cap on the number of public comments we'll accept today.
Oh, so move.
There's a motion and a
Second.
second. Any
Second.
discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
First
proceed.
public comment, we have Ms. Deborah Bell.
Let me know when my time's ready.
Yes, 3 minutes, ma'am.
All right, thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Good evening, Brownsville City Commission and Mayor Mendez, wherever you're watching from. I'd first like to thank you for providing the public with an avenue of which we can voice our concerns. We are all here this evening because to some degree, each of us has a knowledge that what we're seeing transpire at our Brownsville border is not normal. I myself have witnessed firsthand the unprecedented influx of illegal immigrants crossing and the enormous amount of manpower that this crisis is demanding. And yes, it is a crisis on every level. I am here today as a concerned citizen of Brownsville. What I am witnessing throughout the great city of Brownsville is nothing short of a travesty. However, what is more disconcerting is the silence of our local elected officials who are supposed to be our voice. I understand that that you are not federal officials and are oftentimes limited in the actions of which you can take. But what I do not understand is why you are not utilizing your most powerful weapon, your voice. As elected officials of Brownsville, which has now been deemed the busiest station along the southwest border as per Chief Gloria Chavez, you should be alerting the public daily as to what is happening in our city. Additionally, you have every reason to be demanding action from our federal and state officials, yet many of you have chosen to either praise the current administration or ignore the issues at hand. This is unacceptable. On Tuesday, I went to pick up my son from school and witnessed 3 young men carrying government-issued items, manila folders, bags, etc., walking in front of the school, which has minimal security, and at the time, an open gate for midday pickup. I am aware that there is no crime in simply walking. However, what exactly is the plan for these individuals? There is a saying, idle hands are the devil's workshop. It is just a matter of time until we have a serious issue with the hordes of immigrants congregating. You need to be petitioning our government and state officials to come up with a plan of action to keep our cities, homes, streets, businesses, and schools safe. It is undeniable that our local police are outnumbered, and everyone knows it. The city of Brownsville is extremely vulnerable right now, and you, as our elected officials, should be ashamed as it is on your watch. I can assure you that much of your constituents' frustrations are born out of a lack of transparency and honesty from you. What is happening with all the illegal immigrants that are being bused from River Levee Road Explain the process to your citizens and stop misleading the public by telling them that none of the immigrants are staying in Brownsville. That is not true. Team Brownsville is taking them in, the Ozanam Center is taking them in, the local Catholic churches are taking them in, and many are staying, and the public has every right to know this. I have been all throughout Brownsville talking to people, and I can assure you that there is a high percentage of immigrants that are staying, and evidence can be found all over, including places such as Minnesota Road. The Brownsville Police Department is getting calls daily from that area in regards to loitering, trespassing, and harassment of store clerks. This is a problem that is only going to get worse. In short, we need action from you. The lies need to stop. The citizens of Brownsville have every right to know what is happening in our city. How many of these immigrants are staying in Brownsville? What is the plan for them when they stay? How can we ensure that you are not only protecting us, but them as well? Does the Brownsville Police Department have the necessary resources to combat the influx and the potential caravan headed our way on May 12th? Is that my time?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I will respect it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next we have Bonnie Elbert.
Good evening, City Commissioners and Mayor Mendez, wherever you might be. My family has lived in Brownsville for over 100 years. I've lived here my entire life. I have never seen our border in crisis like it is now, not ever. I've watched with concern as the problem is mushroomed. It's foolish to think that Brownsville was not and would not be affected. As Brownsville residents, we are here this evening because we care about our city and our neighbors. Our city leadership to this point has dismissed our concerns and questions and publicly stated that there is no crisis or nothing to be concerned about. What residents really want to know is when is our leadership going to tell us and the rest of the world the truth? You were elected to be the voice of Brownsville citizens and to advocate on our behalf in the government arena. Silence is one thing, but Mayor Mendez, you have dismissed questions and concerns residents expressed and continually told the media that there were no issues at our border. The rest of the commission has been largely silent. Today, we see unprecedented numbers of people crossing into our city illegally, with thousands more expected next week. Our safety as a city and country is at great risk, as law enforcement officers and city personnel are already being stretched to the limits and federal resources are in no better position to provide relief. What is it that we can expect? Brownsville was not ready for the wave of illegal crossing that we're seeing now. Brownsville residents deserve to know the truth and how this is to play out. The last thing we need on top of this federally induced crisis is for the residents of Brownsville to be ill-prepared for what comes next. How is this going to affect our resources going forward? When federal and state aid ends, will our police department have to deplete its allocated budget as it balances the additional burden because of lack of action by city leadership? Law enforcement officers, city personnel, and goods and services are bound to be impacted. How will residents be affected concerning goods and services, hospitals, medical care, police and EMS response time, sanitation services, unchaperoned illegal immigrants, use of city property for staging and holding facilities? How many illegal immigrants are predicted to cross our city, and how long will this go on? I'm here because I care about the city I grew up in. I want to know what to expect from this point forward. The goal here is to be ready so that I can help and encourage my family and neighbors during what will be a trying time for Brownsville. The frightening part to me is that there is no talk of any type of end to this mess. Once the floodgates open, it seems Brownsville may become the next El Paso with people in the streets and in holding facilities for weeks or months on end. I hope that you are prepared. Residents of Brownsville deserve to know the truth about what's happening and what we can do to help each other. I can't help but wonder what might have been different had border leaders banded together and advocated for their communities rather than remaining silent. We might not be here this evening. Those of you running for office on May 6th, I hope you will give serious consideration to what I've said. I appeal to each of you to tell the truth to the public, even if it means standing alone. Brownsville residents deserve and expect it from our leadership. Where do we go from here? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Kevin Rock.
Next speaker.
Next, we have Stacy Belnstein.
Philstein. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for holding this special meeting to hear our concerns. Y'all, our Brownsville residents are concerned. We got a problem here with this immigration crisis. We are under a crisis. There's so many of them these immigrants are being released into our city streets. And most of them are young adult males We don't know what their intentions are. We don't know their background history. We don't know if they have a criminal history. We don't know their health conditions. A lot of them are roaming around along our homes and the streets, and this is while our children are waiting for their school buses to pick them up. And remember, they still have to be dropped off along the streets. The kids have to walk home from their school stops. Think about the kids. Some of these groups, these large groups of adult males, they're walking along the schools. We don't know what their intentions are. It only takes one person to do something wrong. We don't know what they're going to do along our homes. They've gone to the extremes to be here. What more will they do? We need you all to advocate for us. It's not, I mean, you all have been pushing about this health crisis on the COVID conditions, but you all don't seem to be worried about them, about their health conditions. So what are y'all gonna do? We need y'all to advocate for the city of, the residents of Brownsville. Your job is to advocate and tell the state and federal representatives, our representatives, what the situation is. What are y'all gonna do? Our law enforcement, local law enforcement, they're tired, they're frustrated, and they're on the border trying to deal with this issue. Meanwhile, there's less of them patrolling our schools and the homes. Where does that leave us? And the school staff, does that mean that puts more on them having to watch their schools and watch their kids? We need y'all to advocate for us. And we also need y'all to tell us how is this affecting our city's resources? What is it doing on the city budget? How much of it is going to deal with this? We need y'all to be transparent with us. We need y'all to do something we haven't gotten any updates from the city at all. And so the last update we had was last week from the mayor and about the emergency order. What more are we gonna get? We need y'all to advocate for us. We need to hear from you all. Push on this. Your hands are not tied. This is not a federal issue. You all can do something on the city level. We're here to speak to you all about our concerns. And so you all are responsible to take those concerns to our state and federal representatives. That is your duty. That is why you were elected. That is why you were voted to be here, to speak for us. Thank you for hearing us, and thank you for hearing our concerns. And we hope that you will take this meeting and you will be transparent about all these questions and these concerns that we have here today. Please do so. And we hope that you will have another meeting soon.
Thank you.
Next, we have Susana Rubalcaba.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. In the last week, we have been overwhelmed with over 15,000 crossings into our city. According to the BPD spokesperson, it is the largest influx the city has ever experienced. With Title 14 expected to expire next week, we are in for a rude awakening. I can't imagine that the city or any of the NGOs were or are prepared physically or financially for this week or for the next few weeks. Obviously, these are challenges that being a border city will face, and I urge you as leaders to extend the state of emergency declaration today. We are a city with already limited resources. Being able to deal with the influx will depend on your leadership, our representatives' involvement, and the federal government. Citizens and small business owners are concerned about the number of migrants walking around downtown and throughout the city. Questions arise like, where are they staying? Where are they getting money to eat and buy personal items? How long will they be here, and are we safe? Border security and our city's safety is a nonpartisan issue, and I beg that you put politics aside and communicate with the citizens on how we as a city are handling this situation on a local level. Our people need to be confident that you as leaders are handling the situation the best you can within the control you are afforded at the local level. They need to know that you are in conversation with our state representative, our congressman, and any other officials that can assist. They need to be able to ask questions, and those questions need to be answered. We would like to hear that our local law enforcement has been provided adequate staff and resources to protect our citizens, given the violence that has occurred recently in Matamoros. Should we be worried some of the cartel is mixed in with the groups that are crossing? I would ask for daily updates, at least online or virtually, and if possible, a town meeting, maybe at the event center before the before next week with leaders from all the enforcement agencies and our local leaders to put to rest the concerns of the community you serve. I am asking you to bridge that gap. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Lydia Garza.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Hello, good afternoon. My name is Lydia Garza, and thank you guys for taking the time to hear us today. I was very excited to know that you guys were having a special meeting today. These ladies have pretty much covered just about everything, so I'm kind of going off of my, or not following all of my notes today. I get the sense like, you know, the community is a little just frustrated and maybe we're all anxious, right? And I'm here, I do want you guys to succeed. I know a lot of you have heard from me. Sometimes I'm quite upset because I want things done a certain way. I know with some of you, I don't agree with maybe some of the things that you're doing, and that's okay, right? Like families, we all disagree. But I think we all have that common factor that we do want something great to happen in Brownsville. We know there's a tension. We're all concerned about the border. I think the concern comes that we haven't recognized that there's an issue. Since 2021, we've never heard any of you guys say that there's an issue, at least I haven't. The mayor had gone on the record to say that we were fine, that there was no border issue. We've seen the buses for a long time. I'm shocked at how much the public shares their photos and their posts, and we see the buses that are coming. We've known that there's illegal immigration. That has happened. And we all recognize that that's always happened here at the border. We just haven't seen it in this, I guess, level, right? Things are getting worse. And I think also that we just don't want to hear it being downplayed. We just want the truth. We want you guys to tell us what's really happening. We are genuinely concerned. I know I'm here. If I can help in any way, let me know. No, I'm not trying to run for anything. I'm always going to be, you know, just a citizen here in Brownsville. But let us know. We want to work with you, but we're tired of just hearing the same thing and just downplaying. Like when the PUB went up, it was always blame it on ERCOT, blame it on the economy. And there were other issues happening here with Tenaska, right? And we didn't find that out till way later. And the last thing I will say is that if we're going to trust you all, when we do come with our concerns, and I know you have concerns, some of you here have shared, and when you share that, it's okay. But when we do it, we get bullied, we get called evil, we get called things like transphobics or homophobes and names that we shouldn't be called. Like, we're concerned and we care about our youth. We want help for them. But just because we don't agree on certain topics doesn't mean we need to resort to name calling. Enough is enough. Let's build a trust with the people. Like, let's work together. Thank you for your time.
Next item, we have work session, discussion and update on immigration influx.
We can just change the.
Okay, I guess we can change it over there. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, City Commission. I'm here today, Chief Sheldon, Brownsville Fire Department, to kind of discuss about high-level activities that have been occurring here in Brownsville over the past few days. As we know, for over 100 years, Brownsville, Texas has been the gateway to the United States from Latin America. We do have 3 port of entries here in Brownsville that connect us to multiple areas and countries. On January 2021, Brownsville began to see the influx of the migrants crossing the Rio Grande River through Brownsville and McAllen area. You can go and change slide. So what we're going to really focus on right now, since we have been called upon to kind of provide some numbers on what we're seeing, and we're providing from April 27 on, because that's when we really seen an increase and since our proclamation has been signed, our declaration of disaster. So over the past, since April 27th to May 3rd, you can see a graph here of some of the numbers that we're seeing daily. So on April 27th, we did see about 1,838 people cross at the Fort Brown River site right there. That's when we were notified by Border Patrol, and they were requesting assistance for resources from the city. On that evening, we went out there, we met with city leadership, myself, emergency management, Brownsville PD, and city management, as well as some of you all went out there. We met, It would discuss on what resources we need to provide in order to make it as expedient and efficient as possible, considering the situation. April 28th, there was 1,444 that crossed that day, and so forth, all the way up to yesterday, which was 2,200. Next slide. So Border Patrol Chief Chavez requested assistance from the city of Brownsville, like I said, and due to the uptick in numbers of these migrants crossing, she wanted support and to create some efficient processes and trying to take the most effective humanitarian approach to the situation. The goal is, not for us to house these migrants in Brownsville. It's just to assist them get them to their final destination. So, like I said, we met with state, federal agencies, and immediately took an address and to address the influx. So, some of our approach that we've taken since April 27th at the Fort Brown Golf Course. Of course, that golf course was an abandoned site, was not used for many years. So, a lot of our crews came in, helped clean it up, make it a safe environment first. Office of Emergency Management, Police Department, City Manager's Office led support with Border Patrol. Mayor Pro Tem Nurit Golonsky signs the declaration on April 27th. And the city departments, including Fire and EMS, Engineering, Public Works, Landfill, Health and Wellness, Internal Services, assisted with sanitizing and fixing some of the structures in that location to make them usable for the processing of these migrants. We set up canopies, cleared the brush. Heavy machinery dump trucks were brought in to bring caliche to get some of the buses access and turnarounds for that area so they can be loaded up and transported to different facilities around South Texas, including Donna, McAllen, some of the Border Patrol stations, and even as far as Laredo, Del Rio, and areas like that. There was mosquito spraying that was provided in that area. Mosquitoes were horrible at that time. And then water stations, porta potties, everything was assisted in that operation. PUB assisted with making sure that there was some type of running water out there and electricity to those facilities. Like I said, thank you to a lot of the internal city departments came together to make this as fast as possible, to create a site and a location that was not directly in the city of Brownsville. And since they were all crossing right there, to make it as most efficient as possible, to keep them, try to centralize that location. And there you can see several pictures of city crews within a week's time, be able to make that place habitable to create these efficient processes.
If I might add, and I'd just like to thank and recognize our city departments for all the work that they've done. We have always been a resilient community. It is something that is unique to any city that is on a border. We've never experienced this uptick. However, it's important to know that the importance of the declaration was also to get reimbursement for many of these resources. And so that's why the April 27th declaration, the signing of that was important at that time to be able to be reimbursed and not hit the, the general fund and our city revenues. Many of this was also done for efficiency. Border Patrol increased the number of buses that was bringing to this Fort Brown location so that we can efficiently create a turnaround and, have them leave Brownsville and go to those processing centers and then off to their final destinations with their families or their sponsors. So this is part of the efficiency that we're trying to do with regard to getting people in and out of the facility.
And current funding for these operations are really coming from the FEMA Emergency Food and Shelter Program right now at this time. The declaration is going to assist us, if some of these items aren't qualified under this program, then we would be able to submit reimbursement through the federal government. You switch sides. So like I said, there was a lot of work that was completed out there as far as the asphalt to create that efficient transportation. The tents were providing shade and shelter from the harsh conditions. But since then, we have transitioned a lot of the processing from tents and shelters because we did experience a few bad storms, a couple of bad storms this past week. So that did damage some of the tents. Luckily, nobody was injured out there. They were moved into the brick and mortar structures there, which were the old golf cart barns. So Public Works went in there and cleaned everything up, made it, a safe environment for them to be processed. So like I said, the city of Brownsville efforts for providing safe grounds for these incoming migrants, and they're just more pictures of some of the operations at the Fort Brown site over the past week, just making some of those facilities usable. We don't foresee this going away anytime in the real near future, but moving this declaration forward can help us really take a proactive approach and preparing if there is a larger surge, which is being predicted at the end of Title 42. So this location, like I said, if it's something we're dealing with, boots on the ground, it's a good location. It'll help us manage the efficiencies for Brownsville and try to prevent, like I said, a lot of them from entering the streets from what's already not. Next slide. So just want to thank a lot of our partners that are really involved in this. It does take a lot of time, a lot of dedication, and a lot of communication to be really collaborative with every entity here, whether they're providing personnel or just a resource to help with this situation. We have U.S. Customs, Border Protection, PUB, Los Fresnos Fire Department provided us with a mobile bus for a rehab area, Texas Department DPS, Rancho Viejo PD, Cameron County, Los Indios, San Benito PD, and I'm probably leaving out quite a few. It is a pretty extensive operation out there that they have. So, I think it's real important, the collaboration efforts and, just the communication. I thank you all for taking the trip out there and taking the time over this weekend to really tour the site to see what we're experiencing. So,
I
any
would
questions?
would like to have a special recognition, not only our two chiefs, our fire chief and our police chief, but our emergency manager, Odie Leal, and also Rene Tabarez. They've taken incredible leadership, demonstrated exceptional leadership in this, and in a very calm and collective way, and they should be commended for that.
Definitely. So that is our Fort Brown location. Now we do have a separate influx site, which we've been operating since 2021. Odie's been doing an amazing job, managing that, creating efficiencies and helping these people reach their final destinations. Over the past 7 days, what we're seeing are increased numbers there as well. And it is due to the increased amount of people crossing the river. We were at a lull for a little while, running about 100 to 200 people per day. But since April 27th, or maybe a week before, it started picking up. So on April 27th, we did see about 526, but these past 3 days, we've been seeing 800, 900, 800. Our capacity, we're assuming, is about 1,000 that we can process in a full day's time, but we're reaching that near capacity at that facility. Our processes there are not people that cross directly and then come to that facility. That is people that are being released by Border Patrol. They are brought to our facility to help them get to a destination. We created that facility to prevent these migrants from being just released to the streets of Brownsville. That was not what was in the best interest of the city at the time. So the goal was, let's help facilitate some of their transportation, make sure they are in contact with their loved ones, with their family, with their sponsors, to get them to their final destination. A lot of that funding is provided by their own family. Their own family pays for their tickets, their transportation, and we make sure they're in communication with them to get to the final destination, which primarily is not Brownsville. So, next slide. So as you can see, there's a picture of the operation within the past couple of days here, which you do see a large increase of migrants entering that facility. We are monitoring closely to make sure it does remain a safe environment. For the most part, everyone's pretty calm and well organized in there. So City of Brownsville processing is peaceful, coordinated manner. The humanitarian approach aims to reunite migrants with their families and sponsors. We provide, them with access to a telephone, help them access and determine bus tickets and airfares and how much and where to fly, and just help them understand pretty much our cultures and how to get there. So next slide. So the immigrant trending deck, total drop-offs in January. This is by month. You can see it was 2,732. We did see an uptick in April, which we started seeing increases from the area. And in May, so far, we're just a few days into it, and we're already reaching what we were seeing months ago in a whole month. You know, like Ms. Ramirez said, our city manager said that Odie and Renee has done an excellent job in managing that. It is very time consuming and they work long hours. So we're very thankful for that. But at one point, we need to make sure that if we were to extend this declaration, that we're able to bring in the resources that are needed to continue the operation the way we have it, or even extend it as much as possible.
I would also like to add that the numbers that you see, January, February, March, April, they're for a whole month. The number that you see, the 2,645, is only for the first 3 days of this month.
Next slide. So these are the transportation methods that most primarily leaving Brownsville, these migrants that we're assisting with, either taxi services or helping them get to the airports or leave out of Brownsville to other airports. We do have our airport they are flying out of quite often, and then all the charter buses that we have available from Greyhound, and there's a few other companies that they are utilizing. So we are in communication. They've been great partners, and when we increase our numbers, they try their very best to increase their amount of buses and their times that they're leaving Brownsville to help accommodate us to what they can, to their ability. Of course, like I said, some people may have a plane ticket. They arrive late to us. They may have a flight out early in the morning. So through our process, they are taken either to Ozanam, or maybe they might have hotel accommodations through family members, where they'll stay in a hotel and then they'll be flying out the next day. Next slide. So kind of trying to be proactive. We do see a lot of people in the downtown area, in the community. A lot of those are also people that went through a different route of coming in, besides the influx of people coming across the river. These may be a lot of people coming across that were released under Title 42 at Gateway Bridge. We'll see a lot downtown. So we created signage to help guide them as much as possible. We also have boots on the ground out there helping guide some of the migrants that may be a little confused or lost or where to go once they cross and once they're released, to help them guide them to our processing area, to really help with food and water from some of our NGO partners, assistance with clothing, transportation, and telephone, which is what's going to really help them reach their final destination. So the primary languages that we are seeing, and there's certain countries, so we do see English, Spanish, Russian, Haitian Creole, and Chinese. So we'll have these signs posted out. They're being printed, and they'll be posted in a lot of these high traffic areas. And with that, we'll take any questions, and I have the famous Odie Leal here to maybe answer if I can't answer, so.
And let me say first, thank you guys for putting this together. And I know I'd requested changes today. Let's make sure we get this deck online as soon as possible. I know several of the citizens are taking pictures of the screens because we're normally proactive at putting the deck out. We don't have this deck out yet, so we'll make sure that gets out there as soon as possible.
We'll post it today.
Thank you.
Never in a million years did I ever imagine what I would see when I was given a tour a few days ago. I just want to thank our public services and our emergency management office for your hard work and your dedication. I truly hope that the public knows how dedicated you are to making sure that life in the city is under control. I just want to thank everybody that's involved, especially our police department. I saw how fast you coordinated with other police departments in the valley to make sure that there's peace and everything is under control. This is obviously a situation that none of us could have ever imagined we would be put in. But the one side that makes me very proud is how hard you work to keep our city safe. So I want to thank you for that and your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've always admired the fire department, the police department, the emergency management department, and all the other departments that you listed, including the border patrol. My husband and I took the Citizens Academy with the border patrol a couple years back and really learned a lot at that time as well. But this whole experience and visiting the station that you've created or helped create has really taken that impression and admiration to a new level. You are so very professional, all of you. And my hat goes off to you. I thank you very much.
And I think it's important to call out the signage that you guys pointed out because it's important the public know this. That's an added effort that's just being implemented right now because those immigrants that aren't coming through other areas where you would normally flow through processing and are just wandering around, we want them to go through and get processed and moved on to their destination, not be left here on the streets of Brownsville. So the signage that staff is putting out there, that's part of that effort. So thank you guys for
The
that.
signage is already up. I've gotten word from staff.
Very good.
And we've also talked to hotel owners, local ones in downtown. They are also actually assisting with, if the flight isn't until tomorrow, they actually transport them to the airport or to the bus terminal. So, it's also revenue for them and they're being they're translating some of the information to different languages or using Google Translate. So even our hotel operators where it's just one day to get to the flight the next day or the terminal, they're also assisting these migrants to get to their final destination.
Let's check with, because I know we've only got, 2 or 3 locations downtown that can house people. Let's check with like motels along Central Boulevard or anything with closer to the downtown area so that as those fill up, if there's spillover going to other locations, they're aware also of what advice to give and where to direct them to.
And another question that I was going to ask, I know there's a lot of local churches that are assisting in things. Is there anything that the public can do to help assist with these efforts?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is for the public to be aware and knowledgeable about what's going on in the situation and maybe some of the city efforts. If we do see migrants, we've informed a lot of our city employees to help guide them to our influx area across from the Plaza Terminal. That right now has been the most efficient process. Once they get there, they understand a little bit about how to get there. We do have translation services and everything available to help them get to their final destination.
I'll echo everything they said, but I have other questions now. What is next? What happens? We have about 21,000 people at the beginning of the week that had come across. I don't know the numbers for Tuesday, Wednesday. I believe the number today was closer to 2,500, just today alone. How many of those people are still being bussed out? Are we still able to bus most of them out? Or are they starting to stay in Brownsville?
So I'll speak on the Fort Brown site and I'll let Odie talk on the influx site. So the Fort Brown site, the estimated time that they spend on that facility is about 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours. There was approximately about 25 to 2,600 apparently that grew last night. They were able to transport most of them out in the late morning hours. So what's next is we are going to stay in close communication with them and really adapt to what resources we need. Right now, we're still learning a lot of the trends of how and when and what time. So for us is, if Border Patrol's requesting a resource, if the state's requesting, if locally we see resources that we need, we're trying to be as proactive as possible, looking at these trends to request those resources early and as soon as possible.
I think it'd be important for us to reach out to other cities. I'm sure Border Patrol has done it, but maybe we should reach out to, I think it was McAllen a few months ago. Before that, it was El Paso. We should reach out to them and see what we can do to get it fixed before it breaks, basically. Let's try to streamline it. I have seen a lot more people downtown. We had our meeting on Tuesday. When we left, we saw a little group coming out. This afternoon, I saw a lot of people walking around with the blue bags. That's the only way I'm able to tell. They're not coming in through Fort Brown, are they? The blue bags or not?
Those are coming in through our influx area and going through our NGOs, which is the Welcome Brownsville, right? Or what?
So those individuals that use, so every migrant can go to our welcome center and they will get a bag, whether it's blue or depending on what colors they have at the time. But the majority that you see walking in our streets are our Title 42s that are coming in through the port of entry. Those individuals come through the port of entry, and that's what the signage is for, to lead them over to our influx area. We'll also be staging ourselves out there by the port of entry, hopefully if not by tomorrow, by Saturday at the latest, to be able to speak to them there and guide them over to our location so we can process them and they can continue going. The majority of everyone that, or I shouldn't say majority, everyone that we see at our influx area, we're not a 24-hour operation, so we do end our day. Once we end our day, every single individual has a confirmation to leave, either by bus or by flight,
Okay.
or is staying at a local hotel waiting for their confirmation from their loved one. So if they don't buy it that same day, they're buying it within a day or two after that. None of them are actually staying in Brownsville. They're all traveling outside of Texas, to be honest with you.
Thank you.
And actually, the signage that we're providing in 5 languages is to get people to, rather than having them roaming around, that's exactly why on Sunday, staff said, you know, how do we create signage so that they know where to go, right? And so that's what we're doing.
I have a question on the Adams Street processing site. You stated we're almost at capacity on our volume that we can handle. So what is the plan if we have to go above that?
So I'm in communication with Border Patrol, so they know our capacity is 1,000. So we're starting to stagger buses every 30 minutes to ensure that we're able to deal with our load. If we're unable to deal over 1,000, if we don't have enough room to have an overflow for it, then I just have to reach out to Border Patrol and they'll slow down on drop-offs. Then that would mean they would have to send them to another location. So Brownsville's not the only one doing this. McAllen is also doing it. In Brownsville, you only see mostly single adults because the city of McAllen does not take, Catholic Charities does not take single adults. They only take family units.
Cody, you mentioned when I went on the tour with you that there were some that are being returned to their country. Can
Correct.
you
Border
say a
Patrol
word
does
to
have that opportunity to return a certain amount depending on what their country of origin is. So they're the ones that do that at the time that they're processing.
On that, the number you said, I believe it was about 2,500. Does that include the Adams or is that separate?
So the way it works is that they're at Fort Brown. From Fort Brown, they get bussed out. So here at Adams Street, we receive drop-offs from everywhere. We receive from Rio Grande City, McAllen, Donna,
Okay.
from everyone who is actually processing the individuals that are from Fort Brown. We will not get the whole 2,200 that they apprehended that day. We will get an amount from them, but not the full amount.
Some of those are going to Donna, some of those are going to Laredo, I believe you had told me. as well?
Yes, and they get sent back to us if they're single adults. Family units get sent to McAllen.
Families get sent to McAllen. Thank you.
But Border Patrol is very well aware that our capacity is 1,000.
So let me see if I understand the process right. The ones that are coming in through the Fort Brown station, then they go to the different detention centers around the valley. And then the ones that are coming in through the bridge are the ones that come here to the Adams Street Processing Center?
Negative. It's the opposite. So the ones that are coming in through Fort Brown that get sent to the detention centers are the ones that Border Patrol, after they process them, send them back to us, the ones that do qualify to be released. The ones that are coming in through the port of entry are the ones that we're trying to work with to ensure that we guide them over to our location to continue processing them at our location.
Okay, so of all the number that are coming in through Brownsville per day, what percentage would you say actually get out of Brownsville city limits within those 24 hours?
Within 24 hours?
Or even that same day? What percentage actually needs to stay overnight, whether it be on the streets or in a shelter?
They actually don't stay in the streets because they actually go to a hotel. 80%, I say, end up leaving that same day, if not more. Because they don't only fly out of our Brownsville Airport or our bus terminal, they also fly out of the Harlingen Airport and McAllen Airport. They pay their Uber or they pay their taxi to take them to the Harlingen Airport or to the McAllen Airport.
And, okay, so then those staying in hotels, who covers the expense of the hotel?
Family members do.
Okay,
The
and
city of
this-
Brownsville does not pay, not even a hotel night for them, nor a bus or a flight, nothing for them. It's all coming from their sponsor or themselves.
And so if their sponsor falls through or they're short on money to cover the expense, then what happens so that they still get out?
So if their sponsor falls short, the sponsor in the States, we contact their family member from their country of origin to make that arrangement for them.
And
Nobody is released out of our facility unless they have a hotel, a flight, or a departure for that same day. So that's why I say the majority that you see walking our streets right now are individuals who are not processed through our processing center.
How did they get through, fall through the cracks?
Those are the ones that are coming in through the port of entry, the Title 42s.
And so in terms of that, you said that they're going through Uber, through bus, through airplanes. I would assume that the flights are now at capacity and maybe even the buses. What are we doing then to maybe add more bus and flight?
We're currently talking to the bus lines to ensure that they can go ahead and add. And currently Omnibus and Expreso and Tornado have been adding extra bus lines in the evenings to ensure that we have another bus or two or three to be able to have capacity to be able to send out migrants at night. And all buses are filled completely whenever they add them.
That's the same as our airlines. We've requested United and American Airlines to increase service, and also as just to recall, we're adding an affordable, reliable service on May 17th through Avelo Airlines directly to Los Angeles and Orlando. Keep in mind that many of these, from what my understanding is, that they go to large cities. And so that will assist also them going to those destinations of those are the large cities that they'll be going to.
So what kind of resources are we asking from state and federal officials?
Currently, as we stated, we're not asking for anything yet. TDM did come tour day before yesterday, the location, the influx area, and also the Fort Brown. They did advise that any resources that we needed, they were just a phone call away, and anything they could assist with, they would go ahead and assist us. Currently, since we're using the Emergency Food and Sheltering Grant, that's where we're aiming at. Whatever is not covered through that grant, then we'll go ahead and submit for reimbursement through the state because of the declaration.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear who you said. Who went by yesterday?
TDM, Texas Division of Emergency Management,
Thank you.
the state.
So then if you're already getting what you need through that, is there a need to extend the order?
There is no need to extend the order because we do not know what next week is going to look like once Title 42 is lifted.
And so Chief Sheldon said about that we just need more resources to continue the operations. What are those resources that you see might be getting depleted or that would maybe facilitate the operations?
Yeah, those resources will be needed if we grow capacity. We may need more resources such as light towers and just some of the logistics to keep the operation efficient as much as possible. Depending if they're increasing bus traffic, we may need, barricades or whatever resources that Public Works may need, maybe to increase our operations out there.
So have you made those requests in anticipation of the order being lifted next week? In
Yes.
case there is an influx? A large-
And right now, we're really going off of what Border Patrol, they're sharing the numbers with us and asking, what resources they may need. For example, they needed some more milling laid out for the road work just to keep the buses from getting stuck. So when we get those resource requests, then we'll respond to get that completed so those buses don't get stuck in the mud. So those are the type of resources we're needing now. What capacity looks like in the future, we still don't know 100%. Whether we may need more tents or, restroom facilities out there. So that's something we're staying in close contact with Border Patrol. And they are bringing in a lot of resources themselves as well.
I have one last question. What is our capacity there at the moment? How many people can you get through in one day? What would be the maximum?
I don't know if that number has been discussed of what the max is at the Fort Brown site yet. As crowds increase or migrants increase out there. They do request more buses. Last week, they did see the uptick. They requested about 15 more buses, and they received the 15 buses fairly quickly. They are pulling resources from around the state, from other Border Patrol areas and state resources from there. So I guess as it grows, they'll be pulling resources and bringing them down here.
Thank you.
I have one last question. Are we allowing media in that area or no?
We do have a media area set up just before or right by the river levee area. But right now, that is a lot of the Border Patrol operation. So they do have a PIO established from Border Patrol. So there's a media area set up just right outside the facility.
I would advocate that we be transparent about what's going on.
However, we do need to respect the privacy of the people that are in there. So,
And the fact that it's a federal operation, not a local
Oh, of
operation.
course.
Helen, is there anything that you need from us to prepare other than the declaration? Is there anything else you need from us?
I would say that the declaration, it just echoing what, supporting our public safety and our employees. What we don't want to happen is that our city resources be allocated to these operations. We still have to run a city. We're almost at 200,000. And so, we have to think of the seasons coming up with rains. I remember the first tarps we put up were blown away, right? So what we have to think of is the needs of all our residents, right? And ensuring that we have maintained good levels of service. And so what this will allow us, even though we haven't tapped into it yet, it does allow, and we don't know what's to come, right? I would say nobody has a crystal ball to know what will happen. Hopefully, there will not continue to be an uptick. We think that there will be. What we would need to do is, this is just meeting today and having special meetings such as this so that if we feel that there is a need for a special meeting or need something, that we can come to you and your availability to open to the ideas of our staff that really run this and see it every day. So just thank you for just having the special meeting and then considering this extension.
I have one last thing to say. I know that May is the month of hurricane preparedness, and this has tied up a lot of your resources and time. If we could just make sure that we keep an eye on that and make sure that we prepare the city for hurricane season while this is, I don't know how you're gonna do it, but that's a very big concern of mine.
Yes, we still have, I believe, almost 1,000 bags of the sandbag distribution. We usually do it, so we have that, getting ready for that as well. And so, city operations will continue. That's what we have to provide our residents.
And we have every confidence that you guys will be able to deliver on that.
And we are still moving forward with a hurricane fair here in Brownsville to help educate the public as well. The date, we are still working to be determined. Since our resources are tied up a little bit right now, but we are still planning to have a hurricane fair within the next month or so. We're shooting for those target dates. And we'll have that location more than likely at the Brownsville Event Center, and we'll publicize it.
Thank you, Chief.
I've got a couple of more questions. Chief Sasteva, I see you in the back. Have you noticed any increase in the crime locally? And I've noticed more patrols in my district than before, but have you noticed any change in your department?
I'd like to take that in executive session.
Oh, is there an executive session today?
Yeah, there is.
Yes, there's a placeholder. We're going to go into executive session under 551.071 and 551.076.
Okay, and then is this fair to ask? And it might be, do we know how much the city has spent? And you said that it is eligible for reimbursement through the FEMA Emergency Shelter Program. But is there a way that maybe we could put that out there so that people know and what's eligible for reimbursement and what's not?
Oh, I think right now what we're collecting is many of the forms from our employees. We have specific forms where we report. We've been through this before with COVID. And so Odie and Chief did a great job of reviewing the forms to see what's eligible and what's not eligible. So we are compiling that and we will give you an executive report on that.
Yep, that's correct. We're tracking every personnel hour activity related to influx. Any resource request does have to be previously approved to ensure that it qualifies for the reimbursement before we approve.
So does things like, you mentioned that, I think billing, so that the buses can turn around more, that's stuff that would also be covered as part of this FEMA program?
Yes, so as part of the Emergency Food and Shelter Program, we do submit for reimbursement, and we've been pretty successful on getting that reimbursement. If it does not get reimbursed or qualify under that specific program, the declaration will enable us to apply for the reimbursement under a different route through the declaration.
Anything else? Very good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So move.
There's an item.
No, I think we're going.
Yes, it would be going into executive session for item number 1.
So move.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries.
It's 5:56. We're going to executive session under Texas Government Code Section 551.071 and 551.076.
It is now 6:33. Mayor Pro Tem.
Back to items for individual consideration.
Sorry. Yes, sir.
Very good.
Item number one, consideration and action to approve resolution number 2023-061, extending the declaration of local disaster issued on April 27, 2023.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yes, is there a time frame we're extending till?
We're limited to 1 week.
No.
Well, no, in this
No.
particular resolution, we're extending it until rescinded by the city commission. I mean, yeah.
Perfect. So it's on till we come back and take it off. Thank you. Aye.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any objection? Meeting's adjourned.
It is now 6:34. Meeting has ended.